Here's a really quick tutorial on using Blender OSM to create some of those cool little street maps that people have printed out. Now, Blender OSM is available here from the scumroad.com website. It is a pay a fair price. So you'd go here, you would click to pay, you'd get this, and you'll have the zip file. So from there, I'm going to launch Blender. Now, in the last one, I did use Blender GIS, but the reason I did is switch this because I found I actually cut off some buildings. So I was trying Blender OSM to see if it made a different result. And I'll walk you through everything you need to know. So I've opened up Blender. If I've downloaded that file, I'm going to go to Edit and Preferences. And of course here, I'm going to click on, make sure I'm in Add-ons on the left, and then go to Install. And I'm going to track down my folder. Just give me one moment. And I'll find that Blender OSM zip file. I'll click on Install Add-on. Now, I'm not going to do that because I already have it. But then you'll see it here in your list. And again, it will not be checked off. So you'll want to make sure you check that box off to ensure it's enabled. And the next thing is you're going to want to set up a cache folder so you can set that up. There is Mapbox as well, but I think that's more for downloading the satellite view. And we don't need that because I don't care about how this actually looks. I'm not like it's rendering anything. I am just using this to get those models. So the first thing I'm going to do is delete the default cube. So I click with my left mouse button, click on X, and click one more time on delete. And now I'm going to click the N key, and this is going to open up my tools folder on the right side here. And you can also, by the way, you can click this little arrow and pull it out if you want. And now you're going to notice OSM on the bottom here. So there you go. Here is our OSM. And we start from the top down. So we're going to go here and click on Select to select our area. And that will pull up a map. And you can click on the loop here to do a search. And I'll go ahead and put in Toronto. So there you go. Here's the area that I want. It's fine. You can keep your map out a little bit, and then you'll see on the left side here, show selection rectangle. So I'm going to pull up an area that is not too big. I want to pull up let's say, just want to see here if I can pull up, where am I? Geez, Nathan Phillips Square. There's Nathan Phillips Square right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this little section up. And here you can see it gives the coordinates, but I can just click on copy. And I'll click on copy. And now back into Blender, I am going to click on paste. And it'll update my coordinates there. And then the first thing you can do is you can click on terrain and import terrain. And now I'll zoom out with my scroll wheel, and you'll see it again. It gets really wonky. If you did the last one, that's what happened before. So I'll click on View and set my end point here to something much higher, let's say 10,000 meters. And now, because Blender only renders so much space, and now here's my terrain. Now you can see Toronto is pretty flat. So that's that. Now I'll go back to OSM. And this time I'm going to go to OpenStreetMap. And you'll see here, import from server, terrain. I can pick buildings, water objects, forests, all that stuff. Level height, import as a single object. And I'm actually just going to import the buildings because there's not many water objects. That's fine for what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to click on import. And I'll admit, I would like import roads and paths. I'd love to have the gardener in there, but for the purposes of right now, I haven't found a good way to kind of clean those up. So there you go. There is the map. And that's what I wanted there, that Nathan Phillips Square building there. Cool. And there's a couple of neat little buildings in here as well. So there you go. All right. Now what I need to do is I want to give some thickness. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the terrain. And I'm going to click into modeling. And what you're going to see is it's immediately going to go away, right? So we have to bring our view back. You can use the N key or just drag it out and click on view. And again, we're going to set this end stop here. We're going to add an extra 0. And now, there we go. Now we can see it again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my face select tool. I'm going to click A to select all. And then I'm going to extrude with the E key, or here you can click extrude region. I'll do that just to keep it simple. And then I can pull it down. And one thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to drag it down, but then I'm going to tap the Z key, because by doing that, I'm going to actually hit E and extrude it down. And I'm going to, oh, it looks good. I'm going to tap the Z key, which extrudes it straight down, which is exactly what I want. And then I'll click with the left mouse to put it there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit S for scale, Z for scale along the Z, and hit 0 to give me a nice flat bottom. There we go. So now I have this nice flat bottom. I got my little buildings up on top here. So I need to clean those up. So what I'm going to do is I'll go back into layout. Let's see, I didn't even try this last time. So I am going to Shift D to duplicate this object. And again, I just hit Shift D. And if you move it, then you'll say, oh, where'd it go? Just hit Escape. It'll go right back to where it was. And now you'll see it in your object picker, terrain and terrain 001. So I'm going to go into modeling for terrain 001. And I'm going to turn off the buildings here, because what I'm going to do is I am going to, I should come down here. Let's see, it's been a while. I'm going to do box select. Let's see. Yeah, that's not doing what I want it to do. Top view here, and then hit B to select with a box, and just select those. I just want those top faces. We'll see what happens. I kind of mucked it up still. I don't even think you need to hit B anymore, actually. I think you can just do this now. Oh, that's cool. You can just click and drag. Let's see what happens if I extrude. Extrude up along the Z. I'm just bringing it up so that I have something to do a Boolean operation with. Let's see if this works. I don't know. It's kind of looking pretty wonky. Oh, let's see what happens. Okay. Bring my buildings back on. I'm going to go here back to layout. And now I got all my buildings all mucked up. So I'm going to select my buildings. And on the left side here, I'm going to click on my modifier and do an add modifier and do a Boolean. And I'm going to pick my object, which is terrain 001. And you're going to notice I don't want difference here. I want intersect. So that will show me only the objects that intersect with that big cube, which is exactly what I want. And then I can actually just apply this. And now I can actually click on this and delete this cube if I want to. And there you go. Now everything's kind of stuck on my little plane. Well, let's see. Some of these buildings have ended up being empty. Let's see what happens. So there you go. There's my little cityscape. And again, I'd love to get streets, but just trying to figure that out now. So let's go File and Export. And we're going to go STL. So is there anything else I need to cover in Blender? Not really. I'm going to go STL. Now, the last time I did this, I actually did, let me just pull up my folder here, sorry, in the background. I actually did selection only because I had some other objects and I just picked so if you just want to have what you selected, let's say, for instance, I wanted to just pick the buildings and pick that and say, that's what I want. You can do that if you got other stuff going around that you're not happy with. So I'll do it that way. That's fine. I'll go Export and STL. And let me bring up my folder again here. And I'm going to go selection only, which is fine. You don't have to do that. Now the scale here, you can see it's 1. So, last time I'll admit it was a little bit big. So let me try 0.5 right off the bat. And I will give it a name, Toronto 2.stl. You have to put the STL, but that's fine. Export STL. And let's open up Cura and see what we end up getting. And let's go here and 3D objects. exports, let's see Toronto too. I bet you it's still pretty big. There you go, it's still pretty big, but now I can click on this, and you know this part pretty well. You can, helps if I just, you know what, I'll just do it this way. It's a lot quicker and easier that way. Now, one thing I've noticed is it's best for you to print these with supports because some buildings sometimes have a little gap between them. It's just kind of the way they generate, but maybe that's why I'm getting a little red, but that's fine. So I'll go ahead and I'll throw on supports. I'll just put everywhere. And sometimes it doesn't matter if you lose a building, but that way, at least I won't lose it right off the bat. And one thing that I did as well, I was just printing this just to see, but I actually dropped it down into the floor so that way I wasn't printing such a big base. Now I was doing this just kind of to see how it came about. So that'd be good for, say, a test print, and then you might obviously print it with the actual base that you want. And there you go. And let's do a quick little preview and see what that looks like. Yeah, see, we're getting some weird supports under, say, see this building here? I don't know why that building kind of hovers on nothing, but so it can help save that building essentially. And when the end result, when you print it out, you won't really notice that at all. So there you go. There's my little downtown Toronto core for you using Blender OSM.